You find yourselves in the central town square of Evening Star. You get your bearings after a long day. You gain 3,000 experience. The sun is low in the sky, but it is not quite dusk yet. There has been a concerted effort to stabilize the scene. The fires at the Loch Lauren house have been contained, and the military of the Elves of the West has occupied a posture of occupation. There are military police temporarily posted throughout the city, and few of them even speak common. There are many of them. If Ed exaggerated, Alcinerath did not. There is in fact a massive force here. Trailing the soldiers are now civilians. As the day has continued, a steady stream of wagons has come westward. Alcinerath is here in the square. His leadership is subtle but present. His son Erlin is at his side, and Ed is there with them. Ed strokes his chin and points somewhere southwest, looming over Erlin impatiently, once again making it unclear who the captive is. Over the north horizon, you've seen a periodic figure, someone climbing out onto the roof, silhouetted against the sky. Must be the Lonesome Tankard. Someone up there is working on repairs. No way. Your parents are back at your home. Your mom wanted to talk to you, but she had no issue with you slipping out before you did. As far as you know, your family remains safe at home. With you are Sporgle and Kaysen. It is night time here at the market, and you have had a chance to get a good look around you. The three of you observe. This market primarily transacts business during the day. Warehouses holding grain, fruit, and ale give the air a sweet, malty smell. The primary purpose of these buildings is the export of agriculture. Alcinerath is currently using it as a staging area. You can imagine that in the morning, perhaps there will be vendors here, even elven ones, trying to capitalize off of the peace after the chaos of today. Here, wounds are being licked and rest is being sought. Perhaps you should find some food and a place to rest. But first, let us locate your companions. One moment. Rain Danavir, you find yourself separated. When your companions rushed upstairs with Laird, you had a long moment alone downstairs in Laird's basement. From above you, you heard a clunk sound in the door, and since then, footsteps. And this is where we find you now, all by yourself under Chateau St. Cyr. And you have had ample time to study your surroundings, Rain. The arcane amplifier in the room is an inscrutable piece of machinery that means nothing to you. Metal lobes are connected to one another by means of rigid brass tubes. A single central rod is connected to some external motive source, and the machine occasionally crackles with power. You've never seen anything like it. You have heard footsteps throughout, but they have mostly faded and become far less frequent. Occasionally, someone jiggles the door. You notice that this cave circles to the back, and there is a pathway that leads somewhere. Water is dripping down the back of the cave, and you see what seems to be a maneuverable space. You fear it may be a one-way drop. Nonetheless, you realize that this may be an alternative way of egressing from this cave. Another might be the stairs that you came up, the stairs that you came down, but your powers of excuse crafting may be tested. Here in the central chamber, there are papers on the table that you are tempted to disturb with an investigation check. And you may be able to take one long moment and attempt to consolidate your conclusions about the arcane amplifier with an arcana check. However, Rain, with each of these moments, you tarry more in this space, and you wonder if someone will descend the stairs at any moment. And the action is with you.
Rain is so painfully out of their depth in terms of understanding whatever this thing possibly could do. They also don't know that there were people upstairs, I believe. This was never elucidated towards them.
Correct. You can infer some of these things, but no one has told you that. You are unaware of what may have transpired upstairs, although you certainly may have theories.
I think first and foremost, Rain would procure perhaps just grab a handful of these papers. Not even reading them, just taking them to somebody who might, perhaps a pupil. They would just grab a sheaf of whatever is on top of this, not with too particular interest to what those papers might be. Circle back up the staircase a little bit. I'm going to grab one bottle of wine.
You do so.
And then we're going to circle back around the cave. There's a one-way drop, you said.
Not here, but later. But you have investigated this. This path seems well worn, and you notice that there has been shaping of the rock here to allow someone to traverse this easily. This is a gentle ramp.
If the most powerful man in town doesn't have a beautiful escape, who else would? Who's going to trust this thing?
It's worn smooth here, Rain.
And this is an archway, I assume?
That's exactly right. There's a massive scar in the cave here. Peering down into it, you see moving water.
I assume these are the glow caps from the cave prior?
It seems that way. You notice a commonality.
Perhaps a brisk little John. Probably a little kick in their step.
What you see there is a drop down. You wonder. Go ahead.
My main question was, is it lit below?
It's not.
Maybe we'll circle back to where one of these little glow-like caps are kicking out of the wall and just cut it off the wall and then drop it down the hole.
You do so. It lands with a meaty chunk sound. You watch as bits of the glow cap fall apart on the rock, looking a bit like a squished lightning bug. With the aid of this bioluminescent light, you have a bit more visibility on what you're getting into here. This is perhaps a 10-foot drop down a smooth, naturally occurring lava tube. It's smooth on all sides, and you see that going down this way, it would be hard to get back up without climbing equipment or some type of magic, potentially. But you can't imagine exactly what would be required.
Rain really doesn't have either of those things. But down it goes. Rain will try to put his hands near the ledge and just go all the way down as he can on his fingertips and just drop the additional 4 feet. Does that make sense?
That not only does that make sense, but I think that's an extremely safe way to approach it. Roll athletics at advantage for your strategy there. and we will come back to that number. Julianne, you find yourself at your lab. A rare chance to get something done. With this moment to spare, you exhale and relax. The smell of tea leaves and the bark of bird perches fills your nose. You remember when you awoke this morning, you felt exhausted, and you still feel a dull pain in the right side of your neck. Your lab beckons. Much is going on right now, but you could spend a little bit of time here if you so choose. You have some new ingredients. And you are finally at a well-stocked alchemy lab. You have the basis of performing experimental alchemy here. You have ochre jelly samples, as well as bioluminescent fungus samples. At the perch in the backyard, you hear Willoughby pleasantly chirping and murmuring to himself. He must have detected your presence. And you think that you could spend some time here working on a few projects, if you wanted to. With the Superior Alchemist class feature, you could try to brew something with either your new ingredients and create a high-quality elixir. You could also create another batch of basic healing potions with the ingredients that you keep stocked here. You could start the process tonight, and they'd be ready in the morning. The more projects you start, the more will brew up overnight, if you think you have the time. Lastly, you could commune with Willoughby and see if he has gathered any interesting information. Also, you could leave. The action's with you.
Leaving is far from Julianne's mind at this moment. She's been trying to get back to the lab for felt like eternity at this point. She's very curious about her new ingredients, and she's immediately going to get to work on experimenting with them. She hasn't had these kinds of samples in a while. And once she gets those samples up and the process starting of dilution, mixing, anything that she deems curious, she'll start on another batch of healing potions. Something she's done a million times at this point, and she can just do without thinking, and she can just start those in another set of equipment and just let them go. And I imagine there is a lot of downtime between waiting on the potions to brew, stuff to distill, so on and so forth. And I think that'd be a perfect time for her to bring Willoughby inside while she can monitor her potions, and he can sit and they can commune, and perhaps she can get some useful information, or it'll just simply boil down to him wanting more seed.
If you had to focus on one of the two ingredients to get started on tonight, which one? The fungus, the bioluminescent fungus, or the ochre jelly?
Assuredly, it'd be the ochre jelly. Bioluminescent mushrooms, I feel like she's somewhat familiar with, especially with her vial of light, so she's still curious about the structure of those, but the ochre jelly is what is more curious.
Roll d6 and add your intelligence modifier.
That would be a 7.
Noted. One moment. Forgive me 2 moments.
Is anyone else's Roll20 being a little weird? My character sheet won't open. Not urgent.
Everything's functioning on Roll20, but these 100 by 100 maps can sometimes be very taxing on Roll20. Tilda.
It will reference my screenshots.
Got it. Tilda. You find yourself with your mom. You're walking up the road toward the Lonesome Tankard. The Starwater flows to your north, and you can hear the gentle wind whipping the tents on the northern bunker, where you can almost imagine rain on the battlements. Unfortunately for you, the lit torches now reflect on the armor of the fire team of 3 elven soldiers that have seized it for the moment. Each of them is carrying a longbow, and they talk amongst themselves in a serious tone as they study you, maybe more out of curiosity than suspicion. They have raised no banners, and the leader, a ginger-haired elf who is a bit taller than his companions, gives you a confident nod. You can still smell the burnt smell of your childhood home behind you. And your mom brushes her silver hair behind an ear as the wind catches her when she turns to talk to you. Her eyes are red and her skin is sooty with what remains of your and her home. Her legendary composure and intensity has been pushed to its limit. Tilda, it has been hours. Where could Rand be? I don't even care about the house anymore. We need somewhere to stay. I can cast Locate Creature one more time. Do you want me to find someone for you? What about your friends? Would they help find your brother? She's going a mile a minute. Go ahead.
Maybe they know where he is. I don't know, Mom. Is this what war is like?
This isn't a war, Tilds. This is... I don't know why they're here. But certainly it's no war. There's something glorious about this.
War is glorious?
I wish your father could be here to talk to you about this. She looks up and away.
I'll take a deep breath.
Should I try? I have one more Locate Creature. Ran? Someone else? We've tried Ran 4 times, 5 times. You said he was coming to me. I thought he was... Where? Where is he? Where's your brother?
We were... Ma, I'll tell you another time, and it can make sense. And please, you need to take a breath. You need to let me get a word in. Okay? It's okay. I understand, Mom. It's okay. Me and Ran were at Laird's estate when the elves showed up and started bullying us. He said he was going right to you, but based on what happened today, I bet you the elves have him. I expected him to be here by now. I don't know why he isn't. But there was no fighting, so I can't imagine something bad happened to him. They took everything they wanted. Nobody stopped them. I did tell No Way I would be here, and I thought she would be here. I thought she would follow me here. She might know something.
I don't trust the father or the mother. Do you think No Way can be trusted?
If No Way can't be trusted, then I don't understand anything about this world.
Lainey closes her eyes and reaches out toward the moon. She casts a Locate Creature, opens her eyes, bloodshot, and looks at you, Tilda. She's 500 feet south, probably at the town square.
Did they pass by here? That doesn't make any sense to me. We have to go talk to them. And Mom, did I tell you what happened in the St. Cyr Manor? It was really weird.
Tell me now. What do you mean it was? I do not trust Laird.
I don't think I do either anymore. I think you're right. We went into the house and we couldn't find him anywhere, so we broke into the basement, his lab, because we were just looking for him. We were panicked. We had just gotten into a fight with some elves, and the Flaming Fist said it was terrible. And I think Mr. Severino killed the Flaming Fist member who was stationed here. And then we went in the basement, and there was some big magical machine, and Mr. St. Cyr wouldn't answer any questions about it. Then we went upstairs, and the elf showed up, and he let Noe hang out in the wind while she dealt with the elves. It was crazy. I thought the elves were going to kill Mr. Severino, but they didn't, and I got out of there as soon as I saw them sending elves to the house. I was afraid they were going to do something to you.
Ed killed Elias?
I'm pretty sure. He can turn into a big creature, right?
She nods, placing both hands on your shoulders. She's zeroed in on this conversation.
Yeah, he turned into an owlbear, I think. At least from the descriptions in the Volo book. And, yeah, it was brutal. I have never seen a dead body before. And the elves were going to kill him. They had him as a prisoner. No way negotiated his release, but I thought he was a goner. His son was there with him, too. And, Mommy, they won't tell us anything. It's probably because I'm young, and you know how I am. Adults don't really like me.
I don't think that they're going to listen to me either. You saw Rebecca. She came at best to taunt me as my house burned.
What happened? Mom, do you have one of those silver cylinders?
Her eyes go wide. What do
Okay.
you,
I'm putting some things together as we speak.
She drops her arms.
We stayed the night in the cave, like I told you we were going to do. And in the morning, when we got outside, there were a bunch of Griffin riders, so we got into a bit of a scrap. And the Flaming Fist showed up, and we thought they were on our side, but they threatened us and attacked us. They were looking for Mr. St. Cyr. And when they found Yosan, you know, oh my god, they got shot in the head by a crossbow. Luckily, the paladin from out of town, Kaysen, was here, and Noe, and they both healed Yosan. They healed them. But the Flaming Fist Major had this metal cylinder. We took it off of her after we defeated them, and I heard her say a command word, and I smelled fire after that. I think it had to do with the house going up in smoke. And then when I showed Laird the cylinder, he had me hide it.
I knew it.
Can I know it?
The Flaming Fist burned down our house.
I think
Flaming
so.
Fist burned down our house.
They said a command word. It's written in my journal, but the goblin has it. Incendious?
Flaming
Something
Fist.
like that?
Why are they trying to protect Laird?
I don't think they were trying to protect Laird. They attacked Yosan. They wanted to kill him. Them.
Do you know what Elias was investigating?
Investigating? I thought he was the tax man.
We never did get through many of your civics classes. No, Schwenkfelder is the tax man. Kit is here as the representative of the Flaming Fist. He was investigating vampires in the town.
Oh, I thought that was paranoia.
The wind buffets your mom's silver hair as she tries to internalize this as well. And we find ourselves here in the square. No way. Someone's approaching you. In these moments before they arrive, you have a few critical moments with your companions. You realize the figure is flanked by something. A massive animated armor.
Listen, I think Noe says, catching sight of these two approaching her and then turning quickly to Sporgle and Kason. I appreciate the both of you being here, but do not feel compelled to. I am not in need of protection here. Well, my father still remains in his house, so please do as you will. And then she'll turn back to the two approaching her with her customer service polite smile.
Your servile smile is returned. This man...
Does she recognize this man?
No. He gives a small bow, a mercantile bow, as you attempt to suss out whether or not you have seen this figure before. As he returns from the bow, Miss St. Cyr, a word?
Of course, I'm afraid you have me at something of a disadvantage. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
I am Roran Shilda, and I represent a consortium of professional information brokers. I wish to trade you something important for something valuable. May I have a moment of your time?
Well, of course, I should be happy to hear you out.
He strokes his goatee. We wish to purchase your share of your family trust output for the year, the last harvest. We will pay both with information and with gold. The information will be of much use to you, Arsinoe. Each of your parents owns 3/8 of the trust, and you and your sibling Yosan own 1/8 each. It is our goal to take a controlling interest in this harvest so that we may choose where to ship it.
I see. So who else have you approached with this exchange?
You are the first.
She sort of nods and again, very polite. And sort of hand over her heart, a little flustered, in fact. She says, I see, well, maybe you could tell me a little bit more about this information. It's not exactly groundbreaking to already know who I am.
Everything I've said so far, for the most part, is a matter of public record. You're correct. But that's not the type of information that I trade in. Here. I have something for you. He hands you something. It's a
Okay.
narrow, corked vial that's warm to the touch. Inside, a pinkish crimson liquid swirls. This is unicorn blood, a famous curative.
She nearly drops it, but I think her grace wins out, and she sort of just holds it out in front of her as if she's not fully accepted it, just has let him place it in her hand. And she says, I'm sorry, where did you say you were from again? Whose interest do you represent?
I didn't say where I'm from. Wouldn't you rather know where I got that?
Yes, I think I would.
I purchased it from Alice Osborne for 20 gold. I suspect you and her will have much to discuss. And then, you and I. I am willing to offer you 1,800 gold for your portion of the harvest, payable immediately. I do not require much sleep, and you can find me here, should you wish to make this transaction, and I suspect no way that you will. You can keep the vial.
It's Arsinoe, and thank you.
The animated armor creaks as it walks away. No vacation in Sporgle. The action's with you.
I know it's still kind of early. Do you mind if I take a fiber?
Not at all. Do we want to take a fiber here? That's most of the intro,
just
so
don't.
totally, yeah, absolutely. Let's take a little break. Imagine trying to weave your campaigns together. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. If you're a big attention payer, and I'm not saying that any of you are, but if you were, you may notice that this plot line was an unrealized one from Arabelle and Black. Are you a real figure outer, Dave? You are, aren't you? You like figuring things out.
Yeah, I sit up at night and think about him.
Is there? Do you? Oh, we've got a real sit up at night think about D&D, huh?
Never ingested a piece of media that I don't have to sit up at night thinking about.
Same. Do you get it? Do you think you get it? Does your mom get it? Is someone wrong? Does someone have incorrect conclusions? What do you think?
Almost certainly.
Who's the least incorrect?
The least incorrect. Well, my mother certainly doesn't have it all right. She just doesn't like Rebecca. I don't know anything about her, so sure, my mom's right.
Latro, so true.
I hated this condescending douche.
How's the guy? He has an aged day. Fucking Zentarum and their liches.
A lich. Whoa. What, just because he
Doesn't
says
need to sleep. Lich, vampire, whatever stupid ascension they have. Trajan blood.
You don't have any ascension perks? Sounds like a skill issue. Something I love about the Forgotten Realms is merely the existence of the Zentarum is enough to be abrasive to Latro.
There are so many intimidating people around us right now. I don't like this. How am
Seriously.
I supposed to goob in these conditions?
I'm sure life finds a way.
How are you supposed to what?
Goob, like be gooberous, silly, lighthearted.
Got it, got it. Derived from goblining out, I'm sure.
Wow, okay, first of all, super racist.
It's me.
She's just a rich kid, man.
Speaking of rich kids and goblins and their various issues, shall we resume in the market here with Sporgle and Kaysen and Arsinoe St. Cyr? Should any of you have an action you wish to pursue?
I'm gonna defer to Sporgle here. I'm still like Kaysen's still just like processing what's happening. He took a big thunk earlier.
Does Sporgle have a whim to act upon?
Gracious DM, how is Sporgle feeling right now?
In terms of like hunger, food, like hunger, thirst, things like that, or mental states. How do you feel
In
about
terms of when we last left off, he had started hitting up his pipe.
hitting the goblin peace pipe? Yes, yes. You feel a bit floaty and warm. You feel fuzzy. Your limbs tingle. The tips of your goblin ears feel weightless. The moon feels especially bright, and you wish that only this scene had a couple good bards.
I'm gonna look down at Sporgle and just like look between Sporgle and Incineroar a couple times and be like, listen, I know how your fingers have a magnetism for pockets, and I'm just gonna look at Incineroar and just go, do not. Anyone else. Anyone but him.
Sporgle fast.
No. No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
You can see he looks insulted.
It's like reverse psychology. I just told him to go
Gee.
pickpocket him.
Yeah.
I'm like I have my hand out. Like I'm ready. I'm ready to pick Sporgle up again.
I think Noe turns and sort of looks at Kaysen with a distant air of concern and also general tiredness, and she says, "Have you had a chance to speak to, well, I suppose either Erilyn or Ed? It's convenient that they're both there together."
There's definitely things I wanted to ask either of them. Just across the table, out of character. I think before we got here, I probably would have tried to get like a two sentence kind of summary about like what happened at the river. Like, do you think
Yeah.
we've done that
Yes.
realistically? Okay.
I think that's
Okay.
totally realistic.
Okay.
I think between Noe and Sporgle, you have a very interesting perspective on what happened.
Can I sort of just take sort of like a broad glance? Oh, also this stuff to the south of me. Are these like tents? Are these crates? Is this blocking my view? Can I see over or through whatever this green thing is?
Excellent question. Those are tents. They are above your head. You have visibility on Incineroar, and you have yes. To your right, you can see Incineroar. To your left, you can see Erilyn and Ed. Ed is sort of leering over Erilyn right now. Erilyn, you see, is in fresh armor and looks quite confident and full of himself. They are talking to one another about something. You're a bit too far away to discern what. Oh, Incineroar. God, you.
Oh no, go ahead.
Incineroar is surveying the scene.
Can I take sort of a broad glance around, perhaps as an insight check, just to see a general idea of how I'm being regarded by the elves after what went down in the house? Like how, like, I guess like how strict of an eye is on me or something like that. Like, because it left on an odd note.
No insight check required. You are being treated with disdain. You are being looked at like a one step shy of a traitor, perhaps. Latcher, don't watch. I have to kill a spider. You're being looked at like someone who has transgressed.
He's sort of almost just like kind of like dancing back and forth between like both feet of just like kind of like testing like okay, if I walk this way, like how many eyes are like turning towards me as I'm trying to walk, and he's sort of just not really going in any particular direction as he's sort of trying to find his bearings here and kind of like looking at Noe and Sporgle for help, and he's just like, there's things I want to do, but it feels kind of weird. Like with all these eyes on us all of a sudden. Is anyone else feeling weird? This is weird.
You feel regarded.
Feeling horribly perceived.
Exactly. You are certainly, if your goal was to swipe something, you sense that a dozen people would see you instantaneously. If your goal was to have a conversation, you sense it might be difficult to find privacy.
Hmm. I'm sort of at a loss right now. I'm gonna just kind of defer to Noe and Sporgle while I'm thinking over here.
Oh, we will. I'll tell you what then. Hold that thought. One moment. Rain, you squeeze yourself through a narrow passageway. You drop down and find that there is certainly a humanoid sized hole here. You hear bats chittering on the other side of the opening as you find yourself in a pleasantly illuminated chamber. One moment.
Not particularly what I was expecting. Rain will briefly glance at these bats, trying to discern whether or not somehow Licorice got down here. Assumably no.
You think not, although you detect perhaps a common lineage in the past. You feel a bit of kinship with these bats. Certainly they're not going to harm you. Bits of their guano on the rocks below seems vaguely interesting, actually.
Yeah, actually, Rain would collect that. I feel like that would be something in the realm of things Rain would understand that could be produced to make different types of acidic compounds, I believe.
Absolutely. You collect a sample of caveback guano. Go ahead and character sheet it.
Will do. Scratch that into a little tiny vial, and cork it, and try to determine how deep is this water that's right out of the entrance.
It's crystal clear. 3 feet.
Hmm.
You'd get wet.
Yeah, well,
You think that maybe by clambering around the edges, you could keep your feet dry.
it does look on the western edge here. Is that illuminated enough that Rain would notice that there were signs of life here before?
You would. It seems that you just did, didn't you? You do see signs of life. You see what seems to be a small tent. The canvas is purple. There's a bedroll.
How fresh is this?
Roll investigation. DC 12.
A 14.
Recent. Past few days at the oldest. Not to mention, this tent looks expensive. Someone would not have just left this here.
Hmm. For the past few days, the fire seems to have been recent as well, I'm assuming. Did they leave anything else behind outside of just the tent and the bedroll?
Not that you
Probably
can
rummage
see.
through them.
You rummage through them. You find signs of habitation, but nothing valuable.
I would assume this bedroll is probably better than Rain's.
It's nice.
Try to slash it, Jesus. Sash it to his own bedroll or backpack. Just distribute the one that he has back underneath.
You do so. It's a green, exquisite bedroll.
And with wine in hand and a nicer bedroll, tonight may not be that bad. Try to mentally note where this tent is. Definitely don't have the space to carry it along with them, but will make their way across the edge here, trying to tiptoe around the water.
You do so. You can see a bit more. There's another cluster of bioluminescent fungus, and what looks to be a ramp leading downward.
I assume that the southern end is not illuminated enough to give the impression that it leads outside.
Correct. You think that you can investigate further, but you see no obvious signs of sunlight. Instead, you think the illumination at best would be relatively short from these bioluminescent clusters.
We're going to be basically taking each bioluminescent cluster and leading from there, it seems.
You see another one to the east.
Do either of these seem worn, as in like man-made, smoothed out?
It does. This rock could have been shaped by a person. A powerful magic user, maybe.
Like a stone meld.
Exactly, like a stone meld, or a Zorn, or a genie, or 100 earth elementals. Or a
All of those terrifying things are ringing through his mind. He's hoping deep in his heart that this was just Laird. Please just be Laird. I'll attempt to go further down.
Make an Arcana check.
At 11.
One moment. I didn't tell you the DC, but it was 14. You peer down this shadowy ramp. Something about the lack of light here seems magical in nature. It is difficult, even impossible, to traverse. You could do so, but you would do so in total darkness.
Nope. Incorrect. She's going to turn on tail and attempt to see what this other little ramp down is.
As you walk away, make a religion check. DC 18.
Nine, so failure.
You hear trickling water.
Trickling in the sense of there is running water, or trickling in the sense that there's dripping water?
Running water. Excellent question.
Well, where there's water, it presumably leads, hopefully, out of this thing.
There's an underground waterway here. There's a ladder that leads up 3 feet, just enough to give you the stability to get up to where the water is running and cutting through the rock.
In all of Rain's time here in town, they don't. Do they have a sewer system underground, or is it aquifers
No.
overground?
It is.
Perfect.
It is. No, there is no sewer system. It is aquifer access. I'm sorry, you were going to say.
He was just hoping that it would end up in a sewer system at some point. Which direction is the water flowing?
It is flowing
Northeast or southwest?
southwest.
Follow the river.
You follow the river.
How clear is this water?
Extremely, unbelievably, perfectly, exquisitely. The clearest water you've ever seen in your life, Rain.
All right then. Rain will attempt to fill whatever water skins they do have, or other containers of this water. If it is not specifically for potable reasons, it's probably a pretty decent ingredient. The clearest water you can find.
Let us say, Rain, you have two canteens. One that's used for reagents and one that's used for drinking. Do you fill both? One?
Both.
You do so. The water runs between your feet at times.
And how deep is this one?
6 inches.
That's not too bad then. Certainly a lot less wary about stepping in it.
You can smell something acidic in the air.
Oh, good. Is this a familiar acidity, similar to the ones before?
It is.
Great.
And for a moment, we find ourselves with. One moment. We find ourselves with Laney and Tilda, the Loch Warren women.
I would like to study my mother and get a sense of her nerves. Frayed? Tattered?
Deeply frayed and tattered, yes. She is at the end of her nerves. She was wrestling with Rebecca. She just watched her house get burned to the ground. She told you that she thinks somehow Laird is responsible. Certainly Rebecca knows how. She thinks the Flaming Fist did it. She is dumping her various theories on you. Not only is she physically tattered, but mentally as well. You rarely see her in a state like this.
I'm going to rummage into my bag and pull out this bottle of mead. And I'm going to shove it at her and say, Ma, you need to relax a little, please.
Perhaps a little bit to your surprise, Tilda, she takes it from you and takes a big, wet gulp. She seems thirsty. She glugs and glugs. When she's finished, she's drained half of the bottle of ale. She coughs for a second. There must be smoke in her lungs.
Wow. Well, we could stay at the Tankard. You trust Mikhail, don't you?
She reluctantly nods. I do trust him. As far as I know, I think he's always been good people. Tilds, why don't you meet me there? Go and get your friends. I'll meet you at the Tankard.
I'm going to, grasp her on the forearm to grab her attention. I'm shorter than her. I'm going to say, Mom, we got this. We're not going to let them get away with destroying our home. We got this.
When you say they, her pupils become a bit more blown. She whispers to you, we're not going to let the St. Cyrs get away with this.
Well, tonight, let's just have a bed and a meal.
When can I expect you? If you do to me what Ran has done to me today, I'll never forgive you. Never. Your father already left us alone.
Mom,
Tilds.
don't talk to me like that. I'm here now. He left me too. I know you're upset, so I'll forgive you for this, but don't talk to me like that.
Roll intimidation to see how well can you shape your relationship with your mother. I think DC 9 is appropriate.
11.
11. You tell your mom, Lainey Lochwarren, to not talk to you like that. Her gaze softens, and she says, Tilds, just get your friends and let's find Ran. He's just messing around somewhere, right? It must be something
find
like
him.
that.
I can message you. I will be in touch.
I was hoping you would
promised.
say that. Yes, thank you. Use message to talk to me.
I will cast the message spell and say, okay,
You do so. In a bit
I'm
of
being cheeky.
In a bit of levity, she rolls her eyes. Do you
Okay.
Do you part ways, Tilda?
Well, we're going the same way for now.
As you wish. Your mom,
We're both going south, yes?
Lainey, looks at you.
Aren't you going to the tankard?
I'm going. The tankard is over here. Well, there's two ways we could get there. Yes, we. Sure, let's go south.
I mean, what?
There are two roads that lead there. This is you. You can see it from here.
It's more like, why wouldn't you take the route where you walk with me?
An excellent question. Roll insight at advantage.
$15.
What would she have done if she could have gotten away from you right there? What was she planning to do, Tilda?
Run straight to the St. Cyr Manor and do something stupid.
You see her neck twitching. She's walking south with you toward the Lonesome Tankard.
Ma, you're walking so fast. Hold on, I gotta keep up with you. My legs are short, come on.
She thrusts her hand out and offers you her hand.
I'll grab her bony little hand.
You do so. Her skin feels papery. She pulls you along.
Hand is cold, I assume.
Ice cold.
Seems like a cold hand lady.
Absolutely. Poor circulation. Bookish. And we will find ourselves with you in a moment. Here in Central Evening Star. Noe Swargo Kaysen. The action is with you.
Noe, I think, surveying the people available to them, sort of sighs and says, well, we are in something of an undeniably unfortunate spot without not very much information to go off of. As far as I'm aware, and she turns to Kaysen, they will be holding Ed hostage or something like that as a political prisoner for the time being, based on...
Yeah, what exactly did they say was the terms of that? Like, stuck in town under supervision, or like how restricted was that?
Yes, he's simply not supposed to leave, as he's killed several of their people. But
He's taken like a one step forward, and he kind of vaguely wants to go down here, and he's realizing that if he goes like this way, he'll have to go past Alcindor, and if he goes the other way, he has to go past Erlen and two other elves. Just looking painfully awkward. Is it like, can he go under the tent, or like, is there stuff under there? Or can he just go straight through?
What do you see? I don't follow. What are you seeking to do?
Just trying to approach Ed down here without
You're trying
without passing any other little pointy ears.
You can approach Ed, but Ed is currently locked in a conversation with Erlen. So if you approach Ed, certainly you're going to get Erlen's attention as well. Erlen seems too occupied with his captive. They seem to be arguing about something. You could insert yourself. It may be a bad idea to engage with the two. You're not sure. Alcinerat takes a deep breath as he watches. He seems serene, at peace.
Is Arsinoe like going up to him to talk to him? What are you up to?
Yeah, so I think essentially what Arsinoe is communicating is she needs to talk to each of these three guys. If Kaysen wants to talk to one of them while she talks to someone else as a distraction, she's willing to work with him that way. If he wants to just hang out and watch her fumble politically, he can do that as well.
Why don't you guys strategize it in character before, so you don't feel like your approach is too shaped? Should you wish to team up and talk to people as a group, certainly that would be amenable for the situation, or allowable in the situation.
Yeah, I think Arsinoe says, I need to understand why it is that the elves even came. And I think the most straightforward way for me to get that information is to continue to talk to Lord Alcinerat. At least I have something of an opening with him. I am not sure I can hold a civil conversation with Erilyn. However, I will try for you if that's something you want me to do. I think we may have a better chance of getting straight answers from Rick, to be honest, than from Ed Severino, but he's what we have right now. The only thing I need to know from Ed, I think, is in relation to his being held prisoner. Surely the elves have killed our people as well. After all, they were fighting on the bridges. I saw them. There was a great clash, but how is Sporgle reacting to all of this?
Sporgle is absolutely vibing, and you see him. He's just kind of like looking through his he's looking through his sack right now. You can't begin to wonder what he could be looking for.
Sporgle, do you want to take part of this with us, or is it possible for me to give you something to bring to someone else?
What?
She shows him the vial of unicorn blood, sort of surreptitiously. She's like palming it and then holding it down so that he can see. Man just told me this is unicorn blood. I think one of our alchemist friends would know for sure.
Hmm?
If that is the case.
What alchemist?
Julienne, or where did Rain go?
I think we locked him in the basement.
What?
Oh my god, I think we left. You guys said you came from out of the basement, right?
Well, everybody else did. I had to.
Yeah. Okay, but what? No, someone told me that they came out of the basement and that you guys closed it. Did you guys close Rain in there?
Oh no.
Oh. Well,
Well, he's
I'm sure Laird will find him
safe.
eventually. Laird will figure that out.
Well, I have to get back home eventually anyway.
Oh god. Yeah. If you think it would be easier for you to talk to Alcinerat, I will take one for the team and see if I can check in on everybody's favorite druid.
She pats Kaysen consolingly on the shoulder and just says thank you.
Hey, I mean, I managed to not get killed while, carrying a vampire over my shoulder.
No,
So
you did more than that. You do need to give yourself a little bit of credit. I think that as frightening as that whole exchange in my house was.
And I am sorry for acting so rashly. I just saw an opportunity, and I don't know. It's been a while since there's been people around that I give half a damn about, and I just thought, well, what if they've killed any of our people? What if they've taken people from Evening Star? It's like I didn't, we didn't know if they had a hostage of their own, so I was like, I'll just take one. End of decision making process, but definitely
Listen,
not the smartest
I
idea.
fully believe you acted as a paladin of Lathander should. I trust your instincts even if you do not.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's mostly a conversation for another time. I don't know, I always feel like everything goes so fast, but I don't know. I've just
I know, and you
been
were talking
questioning a
about
lot.
some weird dream that you were having, and there are things I should tell you as well, but unfortunately, I think right now we need to focus on. And she turns back to the three men that they're all like dragging their feet on, talking to in front of them.
He's gonna come out of this tent, like probably about like 5 feet away from them, and just kind of like, just sort of like bob his head out, and just see if they even glance over, or if they're just like completely engrossed in talking. He has an air of definitely a bit of awkwardness. Caution, not in that he's afraid of either of these two, even if he possibly should be, but more just caution of like, we've all had a long day. I don't want to make anyone's day longer, and also just like an air of like earnest concern.
You approach with an air of earnest concern. The person that you feel the fear from, perhaps, is not these two men, but Incineroar. And we will come back to this in a moment. We find ourselves in Julienne's lab. Julienne, you have, as indicated, started brewing an elixir for the morning. For now, you have produced a number of basic healing potions. These healing potions, one moment. You re-up one of your most critical resources, healing potions. You have 6 more of the same basic healing potions that heal for 2d8 plus 2. You receive information from Willoughby, who tells you, with a deep dirge to his little bird chitter, that he has seen grave birds gathering to the east of town, and surely all of the other birds will caw about this soon. The action is with you.
We can't hear you, by the way.
Oh yes, you're muted, Sarah. Still muted. It's okay. Take your time.
Did you hit a mute button on your keyboard or something?
How about now?
Yes.
We can
there
hear
we
you.
go.
You're good.
Is Discord settings being Discord settings? I don't know. So, Willoughby mentioned grave birds, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, grave birds.
Can I inquire more about the grave birds, or can I attempt to make a nature check to see what I recall about the significance of grave birds?
No check required. You speak bird. He's talking about vultures.
It's a lot of. When we came from the east, at least the cave was to the east. Was it the flaming fist corpses that they fester over, or was there something else?
This seems to you like a reasonable interpretation. This comports with your understanding of what he could be talking about.
And Willoughby, did Willoughby find out anything else besides the chatter of the grave birds?
Not this time. But you could do your best to give this mercurial little creature a task for the evening, should you choose.
Yes. I specifically would like him to find the head of the elves, or somebody that looks like the leader figure, and I'll try and I'll send her out as best as I can to Willoughby. Do take note of his whereabouts for me, if you will, dear.
You do so, communing with the little rock pigeon. Willoughby tilts his head abruptly when you finish your instructions.
Oh, and one more thing. If there's any abrupt movements of our town's guests, please do return immediately and let me know.
His head tilts the other direction.
Don't give me that look. You very well know that we have many experiments to run and we don't want to be caught off guard. Plus, if these experiments don't get done well, suffice to say, there may be no treats in it for you.
Your alchemy equipment bubbles around you as you say this. Willoughby seems to somehow understand the link between failure on these tasks and a lack of treats or a future at all. And as you say this, the little rock pigeon waddles out toward his roost.
Oh, one more thing, Willoughby, before you go. And before he actually leaves, I will give him a small treat just as a thank you for the information he has provided this evening.
You do so.
Thank you. The information you have provided was good. Thank you very much. Now, I need to get back to these experiments. I don't have time. I need to check up on the kids. They're probably up to some kind of shenanigan. Also, what happened to Laird since we have departed from the mansion? That is also a curious question that is swirling around Julian's mind at this time.
Willoughby coos at this. You have a sense that if Willoughby knew where Laird was, he would try to tell you. Perhaps that means that Laird hasn't been anywhere visible to the eyes of a bird.
I have strong suspicions he may still be in his manor, but it's hard to say. But regardless, Julian has more imperative tasks to focus on, so she needs to have Willoughby gather as much information as she can. She needs to finish up this current experiment. She needs to rest, gather her things, and then she needs to meet up with the rest. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like this this night is going to give her too much peace and quiet.
You spend some time gathering yourself and centering yourself before preparing to leave. We find ourselves with Rain, Danavir, somewhere dark and damp.
So the smell of acidity, familiar acidity at that,
Uh-huh.
it's becoming more noticeable the more downstream I go, correct?
That is exactly right.
Great. Trusting, oddly enough, with what his newfound goblin friend told them is that they follow heat. And he can definitely at least produce that. He will unspool the sensor in preparation and just continue down as slowly as is possible, while still keeping an eye out for any of them. It seemed like they were capable of moving across walls. Is this correct? They were like stuck to stuff. To be trying to case the entirety of his surroundings as he's moving through. How tall is this cave entrance at this point? Is it too far out to even see the ceiling?
It ranges between 10 and 15 feet. You can see it. At the very least, you can see the shape of it. Looking up, occasionally you feel a droplet of cave water landing on your head.
Rain will shudder.
Because all of the surfaces are slimy.
With a grimace and as slow as is available, Rain will continue down.
Roll stealth. And tell me what you got.
16.
Okay. Rolling perception against it. Okay. You can see a bit farther down now, and you notice something before it notices you. There are two things here of interest. You see an ochre jelly, a massive one. And you see that it is slowly growing larger and larger from secretions from the bottom of the cave. Surveying the process is an elderly drow. He is deeply hunched over and breathing hard. He's murmuring something under his breath. He seems to have not noticed you.
That's good.
You can see that there is illumination from the bioluminescent mushrooms in his general vicinity. The rocks pulse with ooze.
Even slower than before. This drow does seem engrossed in their work, whatever macabre act that they're doing with this ochre gel.
They do. You feel unseen.
As quietly as possible. We're just gonna briefly hug the wall as far away as this is possible. And just in the back of Rain's mind, it's not so much in the back of their mind. We'll produce a small sack in the preparation to cast Fog Cloud were things to go awry.
You do so.
Attempted to continue to follow this here perfectly clear river far, far away from whatever that was.
The ooze gently throbs up and down.
This is a problem for more people than just Rain to solve in future.
The water begins to rush a bit as you get closer and closer to what seems to be a large reservoir here. It's deeper here. You hear the drow continuing to murmur. It's a language that you don't speak. Something
I
guttural.
assumed as much.
Roll intelligence.
Is this an intelligence saving throw or just raw intelligence?
Just a raw intelligence skill check. Ability check.
8.
Noted.
How deep does this reservoir seem? All the water so far has been clear. Is this more like a lake bed, or is it just a little pool of water?
This seems like 4 or 5 feet deep. You could perhaps tiptoe across, but surely you're still within that drow's line of sight.
Try to shirk around this wall here.
You do so. Looking down, you see the fungus giving your skin a pinkish glow as you walk past it.
As soon as he turns this corner, he will peer back to ensure that nothing is following.
You peer
Presume-
back. You see the ochre jelly continuing to move gently up and down. The drow is still speaking. You see nothing the way you came.
He'll finally exhale at this point and continue down. Knowing so far is that this river or this thing is a few feet deep. I'll attempt to just circumnavigate it.
You do so.
As Rain turns this corner and continues down this way, any more smell of that acidity increase or decrease?
You feel, if anything, it's decreasing, although that it's almost like ammonia or something. Where
It's still pervasive.
It
Yeah.
sort of shocks your senses, so it's tough to gauge whether or not it's tough to gauge intensity. It's not like a spectrum; it's like a yes or no, and you can still smell it as you approach the far eastern side of this tunnel. You see a solid rock wall here. The stream is emanating from broken cracks in the bottom.
Gingerly attempt to step across if this does not seem that it's many feet deep.
You do so. Here you can. It's very shallow here. This is probably the most shallow that you've seen it. Little more than a few inches of water over gravel. And it seems to collect and mix with the other source there in that large pool that you can see. It's rather peaceful here. For once, perhaps you understand the appeal of the Underdark. It's beautiful.
I think at this point, Rain wants nothing more than to be outside.
Feeling fear?
Yes. Absolutely. I think even at this point, through the level of stress, that Rain's initial hiding and Ginger steps has definitely picked up to a much brisker pace.
This feels familiar to you. You've been here
How
before,
pleasant.
haven't you?
I assume Rain's chair still sitting at the mouth of this thing? He drug one out to go
Yes.
keep watch the night before.
Yes, it is.
I don't think anybody ever went back to go get their thing. We never circled back in the morning. It was more fight ochre jellies and leave. Rain will definitely poke their head in to ensure that they didn't leave anything behind.
You see that there are some things here. You may have gathered your initial supplies related to the birthday party, but the helmet is still here, a bedroll, a desk.
It has been admittedly a little while. Was it ever told to Rain that this helmet was being tracked? Was that gleaned from everything being involved, or was this more of a conversation that happened while they were still in the fort?
I don't think that was ever discussed, so I would say no. Certainly, if you think it's reasonable that you infer it at this point, you could, but I don't think so. Yes, I think that remains a mystery to you.
If he doesn't understand that this is a currently scried object, it's kind of a waste to leave it there. Or try to tuck it into their back.
It is. You acquire a Flaming Fist Marshal's helmet.
I think we did assume to some degree that this thing was enchanted in some means. A magical helmet in the middle of a cave doesn't seem like it's a great place to leave it, so he'll pick that up, stuff it into a pack, and gather whatever means and sundry supplies that they did leave behind. And just try to leave the way they came.
You spend a few minutes gathering supplies, and you begin to leave the way that you came. As you exit the cave, we find ourselves in Central Evening Star. Kaysen of Lathander, you awkwardly approach through the tent and see that both Ed and Erlen both turn their heads and look directly at you, each having a separate thread going with you. Oh.
Like right before that happens, like looking for literally like a 2-second answer, he's gonna really quickly call back to Noe and just go, wait, where are you going after this?
Oh.
Okay. And then I think he sort of like senses Alcinrat maybe looking at him, and he's just sort of going to like flatten his ears back a little bit in a possibly meaningless gesture of like meaning no harm, and then turn his attention back to Ed and Erlen with the most awkward hey, I don't want to interrupt. I can see that you guys are really in the middle of something. I just had a really quick question if you have a minute. Ed?
Ed looks at you as if he's been being interrogated by Erlen, and perhaps he has for a moment, but it's strange that here you are asking him for something. Kaysen? Yeah. What's your question? Can't be any better than this guy's questions.
I know you've already had a long day, but you've kind of been all over town from the sound of it. It's just there's people that we haven't seen in a while, and I was just wondering if anytime like recently you've seen Tilda or ran anywhere, or even since yesterday, have you seen the barkeep's brother, Andre? It seems like everyone's just been going missing lately. I was just wondering if you had any idea where any of them were.
Tilda? No. Ran? No. Andre? It's been missing for a day.
Yeah, I promised Mikhail I would go try to find him, but I haven't been able to turn up anything. And if I can't find anything, I'm probably going to have to walk in there with some kind of sincere apology. But I was just wondering if you had any, I don't know if you'd seen anything.
Ed puts his arm around Erlen, who instantly shoves it away. I'm helping this one find somebody too. Guess that's my job now. Town divinator. Wait till Eleni gets a load of this. Who knew I was so good at finding things?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disturb either of you. Just in case you'd seen anything. And he's sort of like gonna take like an awkward kind of half step back towards Noe.
You do so. Ed again puts his arm around Erlen as if to say something, but as you back away, he drops it and allows Erlen to shove him away again. Erlen looks vexed. You walk away. No way. You were approaching Alcinrat, I believe?
Yes.
He looks at you with an even, minimally judgmental gaze. He smiles a bit. Laird's progeny.
His daughter, yes. I am glad to see you reunited with your son.
Me as well. Thank you. And you reunited with your. He searches for the word father.
She smiles a little bit at that, but it is somewhat forced, and she says, I will be after this, yes. Uh, may I understand something of what even brought you here to Evening Star to begin with?
A fair question. And truly, nothing brought us here. We are simply passing through. For better or for worse, your town is a natural stopover to our eventual destination. And we may tarry here for a few days, seeking rest, recuperation, recovery. That one killed some of my men and some of my citizens. It will take us time to sort this out and come to terms with it, but we will not stay long. And I assure you, we have no ill intentions for you, your town, your father, your friends.
Thank you, that is quite reassuring. There was something you said so briefly earlier that gave me pause, that made me wonder if perhaps you know something of the shifting of the seasons that has not surfaced in our awareness yet. But you spoke of uncontrollable nature. Is that something that concerns you?
He looks back toward Ed. Uncontrollable nature. Does it concern me? Does he concern me? Is that your question?
Is he who you were referring to?
Yes.
For a moment I wondered if perhaps you were speaking of the circle of wildfire that is said to be nearby.
The circle of wildfire. He strokes his beard. He look. Go, please.
It's merely something that occasionally plagues our citizens. Just a sect of rather hedonistic sorts that appeals to the less experienced of our youth and draws them away, and she sort of trails off into, you understand, right?
Opportunists. Is it something that we may help with? Guiding your youth? Dealing with the rogue druids? You seek our assistance with this matter. Should our
Perhaps
druids... Please.
Perhaps I might. Perhaps there is an opportunity here for, while you are here in our town, for some collaboration. I also wondered if there was perhaps anyone among your kind who is gifted with healing animals and the greater or lesser nature spirits.
Of course. Of course. Yes. Healing of nature spirits, yes. This is something that is a bit of a speciality for us.
She smiles at that and says, then may I request your help with that?
Of course, anything.
There is a unicorn that we have who is injured, and I would see her wound healed.
A unicorn, a creature of untold purity. Of course I will help you heal this. Where is the unicorn?
I will show whoever you give me to help.
As you will. This is a matter best resolved tomorrow, after the sun rises. Unless this is something that you think is a exigent circumstance for the eve.
No, I believe tomorrow will be just fine, and hopefully by tomorrow I will have a better idea of what manner of collaboration I am asking from you.
I will, as a show of good faith, I will dispatch a circle of druids. Can you meet them here at this location at midday tomorrow?
He nods and says, "Thank you, I appreciate it."
And there is one matter that I may request your help.
Of course, I expected this.
We, and he gestures toward, you realize that there are probably 100 elves here, some soldiers, some civilians. But the square is really starting to fill up as wagon train after wagon train shows up. We are seeking an ancestral location of ours, a home that we once held, Isharen, somewhere to the southwest, deep in the Cormanthor. That one, the uncontrollable nature, knows where. We could find it without him, but if he could be convinced to work alongside of us, I see much collaboration in our futures. I help you with your unicorn, you help me with Ed.
She laughs a little bit and says, "Well, he is uncontrollable, as I'm sure you well know by now, but I will see what I can do."
As this is happening, like as Kason was walking away with like one leg up in the air, he kind of stops mid-step and he'll sort of pivot back and like do an about face and like kind of like jog backwards and just sort of like flipping his, I guess, his mood instantly to just like something like a silliness that is incredibly out of place in the situation. And he's gonna try a completely different approach and just look at Ed and be like, well, I'm about to, let's see, am I gonna take a midnight walk and clear my head, or am I gonna go cause mischief around town? Remains to be seen. I probably shouldn't be left unsupervised with everything I've tried today, but unless somebody comes with me on my expedition, I'm just gonna be off to mischief. But hey, I mean, if you want to stay here and get interrogated by a stink bug, have a great time. And he's just gonna shrug and just like kind of awkwardly back away. That's all he's got.
You do so, silently backing away from the situation that you have created.
I think before she leaves Alcinera, she will. It's free to go, right? It's not like he's currently shackled.
Alcinerat pauses for a moment. I don't know that free is the word that I would choose. It is fortunate, perhaps, for him that I have not subjected him to a trial, a court-martial. I understand the gravity of an army showing up at your doorstep, and as a result, I have strived to understand the motivations of that one. But free to go, that is not the wording that I would select for the fate of your druid.
No,
It
what we discussed.
would be best if he cooperated.
Of course. What we discussed yesterday was simply that he could not leave town.
Unless he leaves with us.
But within the town, in order to get the information that you may desire, I would like to bring him
You would like to bring him
somewhere more private. Somewhere more comfortable.
roll persuasion.
Okay.
How about a DC 12?
I'm still jogging in place, looking terribly disappointed that no one's coming with me.
Perhaps I misunderstood, Case. And who were you attempting to? What were you were attempting
Who are
to?
you talking
Yes,
to?
maybe I misread the situation. Before we evaluate this persuasion roll, walk me through again. Kaysen is sort of airwalking away. He's trying to get Erlen to follow him.
No. He was trying to see if like Ed wanted to go just like just like get some friggin' fresh air, get away from all these dang elves, go on an expedition in the middle of the night. Why not?
That's what I thought. Okay. Ed is slightly indisposed. How about this? Ed is able to convey to you through nonverbal communication that at the moment he is sort of in Erlen's care. While Erlen doesn't have a sword pointed at him, there are a number of soldiers around, and you sense that Ed is probably not going to be allowed to just walk off.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Getting
go ahead.
that sense, he's gonna sort of go kind of over to Noe and like see what progress she's making without like getting close enough to be like clearly eavesdropping. He's
Yeah,
just
I think he can sense that Noe having gotten this vibe from Kaysen, like being like, "Hey, do you want to come off with me?" And then Noe's like, "Can Ed go off with him?" to Alcinerod, and then hearing that he's not, she's currently negotiating for Ed's freedom once again. Since I'm able to do so with advantage, she rolled 22.
You roll a 22. Alcinerod considers your words for a moment. He tilts his head. His white hair catches the breeze for a second as he thinks about you. Very well. I sense, and I have a way about these things. I sense great partnership in our future. And as a result, I will allow this druid to be in your care. However, I expect that you will use this time with him and his newfound, as you put it, freedom, to convince him to come through on the obligation that I request of him. And he has requested something of us. Alcinerod seems to think about it for a moment and then withdraws. He summons Erlen, who walks past you, Kaysen, and gives you a amused little grin. He seems to think that he's won. No way, remind me what languages you speak.
She speaks Celestial, Common, and Elvish.
Noted. Roll perception.
A 10.
You sense, although you can't pick out the individual words or what they actually talk about, you sense Erlen's disappointment. He doesn't like whatever Alcinerod just told him. And Alcinerod turns back to you and gives you a slight bow of respect. Take the druid with you. Convince him to help us. If he helps us, he'll get what he wants too. You'll find me and my son right here.
Kaysen's trying so hard to look like he's not eavesdropping, but his ears are just going like this the entire time.
Yes, and I think she sort of looks over to Kaysen and nods and says, as one of my allies, he will ensure that Ed stays close at hand, and together we will strive to make good on this future partnership. Again, it gets a little bit more strained now that Erlen's directly in front of her. She's definitely not looking at him, and any I think her mood just grows cold now that he's in the conversation as well. But she does sort of like nod off to Kason, like, okay, here you go, homie.
As we're preparing to walk away, he's just gonna look at Erlen and just not out loud, but in his mind, just go, "See you later, stink bug," and just like blow a raspberry,
You
like
do
right
so.
in front of Alcinderat. He doesn't care.
You debase yourself and taunt Erlen in front of Alcinderat. Both of them give you a judgmental look.
He's going to follow that up with like an earnest wave of, of just like, okay, everybody have a good night, and he's gonna kind of go hide over here.
Noe, make a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw?
Welcome to the club.
8?
You feel foreign tendrils in your mind. You sense Erlen scraping and looking and finding. And we find ourselves from it. Julianne, do you need a second? We're about to switch to Julianne. Sarah, do you need a moment?
Yeah, just one quick moment.
No worries.
As they're getting ready to go, Kason just like, adventure, adventure, adventure. He's just like so incredibly happy to not be in a cave right now.
Sorry, I have uncanny timing.
No worries. Julianne, you find yourself outside your lab. The night air is chilly but pleasant. And looking to your south, you see a steady cadence of horse-drawn carts heading east to west toward the main town square. The high road is busy tonight. It's your turn.
What are these immediate buildings around me? I presume I would know this.
Of course you would. To your looking east past the trees, just north of the bridge, that is the Flaming Fist Customs Shed. To your west is the manor of Lieutenant Kit. To your northwest, across the road, north of that little camp, is the Severino house. Far to your north, looking way down the road, you can see the lights of the Lonesome Tankard.
Did the group mention a meeting spot at all before we split up into our separate tasks?
I defer to the party. I think my default answer is I don't think so, but I would defer to anybody who feels strongly about that. And also, there was some time in the middle here where I think you would have had an adequate chance as you left the Chateau Saint Cyr. Would you have designated a meeting spot? If so, where? Would you have suggested that we meet somewhere? Some people I could see easily suggesting something. Arsinoe Saint Cyr. Tilda Lochlaren.
I wasn't with the group.
Kason of Lathander?
Too many objectives on my mind.
Yeah, I
Maybe-
think Noe would have said, I will be at the town center, but there wasn't an explicit, like, meet me there when you're done.
Seeing as he ended up like having to approach alone because of splitting off, he was sort of anticipating like just kind of having to do his own thing for the rest of the night. like not feeling optimistic.
I'll actually kind of put this on its head. Julianne, I think you would have been the most appropriate person to suggest a meeting spot. So let's retcon the past 15 seconds. What meeting spot did you suggest?
I would probably presume the tavern because the town square is far too busy for a group to be meeting up in, and I think that would be ill-advised for anything we might deem strategic.
It is such. If you were at Chateau Saint Cyr and you were not locked in the basement, for example, you would instinctively come to realize as the evening has gone on that perhaps you're approaching Julianne's meeting time. So as you exit your lab, you mull on this. You told everybody to meet at the tavern. You hope that they have wrapped up their business. And it's been a few hours. You've been here working in your lab. The sun is now just about to set on the horizon, and you are left hoping that people have done whatever they set out to do.
Well, I can't tarry on what ifs, so I will stick to the road and briskly head towards the tavern as quick as I can to make sure I am there in keeping up to even my own designated meeting time, I suppose. So what they do is of no concern in mine as long as they meet at the tavern. That is my current focus.
We will. Give me one moment here. Julian, you arrive at the tankard. As you see Lainey pulling Tilda's hand along as they converge with you here at the western entrance to the tavern.
Tilda, Madame Laclaren, how are you both doing this evening?
Lainey looks at you. She is covered in soot, and she looks like Avernus. She does not respond.
Mom, just go inside. Mikhail will take care of you. I'll be in.
Lainey grabs you, plants a kiss on the crown of your head, and then walks toward the entrance.
Happy birthday, Tilda.
Happy birthday, Tilda.
I was talking to myself. Never mind. Okay, let's get Noe. She's down somewhere south, probably the town center.
Will she not just meet us here? Must we really divert from the plan?
I need to find my brother.
Where was his last whereabouts?
When we were entering the St. Cyr Manor, he stormed off. Don't you remember?
I do, but you also have to consider that I was...
Julian, they blew up my house.
So it was your house.
What do you mean it...
I'm sorry, that's insensitive. I was curious to what the smoke was coming from, and I apologize. We got so distracted by everything.
I'm sure he wasn't there. I hope he wasn't there.
He's very smart. I doubt it.
He's not very smart.
You have to give some people the benefit of the doubt. Okay.
I just want to find my brother. I don't want to cross sabers here. I said I was going to get no way. I'm going to get no way. It would be awesome if you came with me.
Okay, I can do that for you. We'll be back. We'll be back quickly.
My mother keeps casting a divination spell looking for my brother and not finding him. He must be out of range. Maybe the elves took him?
I'm not so sure about that. I feel like he wouldn't be somebody of interest. To be quite honest, and the range, if I remember correctly, I don't know how far that spell even covers. I don't recall it being very far, to be quite honest with you, Tilda.
Tilda, you do know. It's about 1,000 feet.
Yeah. A kilometer. 1,000
Top of
feet.
it.
Meters.
How big is this town, by the way?
Big enough to ruin your reputation.
Fair enough.
Alright, I imagine we will go south. Julianne. You know more about my house exploding than you're letting on. I'll stop her by walking right in front of her and putting my arms akimbo. You spoke to those fists like you knew them.
Because I did.
They came here to kill us. They came here to kill my mother.
They came here to investigate why their taxman was missing. And from what I understand, they had contingencies in place if something were to happen. I don't know what they were.
What do you mean something?
If the town doesn't pay the money, what do you think they do?
Point a crossbow at a boy?
I mean, that's step one, yeah.
Julianne. You have to stop treating me like a child.
This very conversation, I am being honest with you. I am not treating you like a child. How the Flaming Fist operates, they will first threaten individuals to get what they want. They'll try to coerce them to get their money, information, whatever they want. If that doesn't work, they will escalate. In the case, because we fought them, because we had other priorities, they escalated. How they escalated, I unfortunately didn't know the repercussions of.
Why did they blow up my house?
That I could not tell you.
They
Why
must
your
have been
house-
there before.
I mean, obviously to plant whatever they did to make it explode. Why your house specifically is targeted, I do not know. Maybe your mother is on the bad side of the fist. Maybe there's some other thing going on. I am not sure. This, I can assure you. I worked with the Flaming Fist to get funding for my lab. Nothing more, nothing less. My teacher was in the Flaming Fist, and that is the only reason why I had the connections that I do. This I can assure you on.
I believe you, Julianne, but understand, I would never forgive you if my mother died.
I wouldn't forgive myself either.
Or my brother.
That is... Yes, I wouldn't forgive myself about your brother as well.
I will twirl around and bound down the path.
You do so. with the bounding of paths. Rain. You have a bit of freedom, don't you? You are back once again on the surface.
You're not harried by the fists that I assume are still laying out there. It looks like, in fact,
You see
they
them,
are.
don't you? You see the bodies that were left here.
Hmm.
You smell the bodies that were left here.
A thought occurs to Rain that there was one person that he did want to check in the morning, but things didn't really go to plan. I think, being that it's only been a day's time, he should have pretty good sense of where he left the body
Mm-hmm.
of Elias Kid, and would like
Yes.
to navigate through the woods to investigate if A, it was ever recovered, and B, if he's a vampire.
You trek into the woods as the sun begins to set. Your low light vision provides only a bit of help as you trek through here.
Well, produce flame, if need be.
You do so, need be. You produce flame. The vertical shadows that emanate around you from each of the trees makes it almost seem like you're walking into a tomb or a cathedral. You can smell Elias Kit before you find him. He's here, moldering in the woods. You open.
Does it look...
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if it looked like the cart and tarp were disturbed from where he left them.
It doesn't look disturbed. With great trepidation, you open his jaw. Looking inside, no fangs.
Well, at least that scratches that off the list. Did Elias have anything else on his slop of body?
There is armor that is largely fused with his moldering flesh, clothes, a sword that gives you pause to even touch.
Yeah, it's probably best to leave that with him. He'll recover it with the tarp, insofar as that it is already dark. There's no reason to dig a hole. He'll just be here in a box above ground for the rest of time. Well, it's about time to get back. I know in character that there is a boat that is traveled across the small river behind the St. Cyr Manor. Just in picture, is that a raft that is tied to a rope that is pulled across both ways?
That's exactly right.
So there would be a way to pull the boat across if it was on the opposite side.
That's exactly right.
Okay. I also know that there is a river that leads to the north. That's the bridge that Rain traveled into town from. How far
Correct.
away is that bridge?
If you were moving on the river, perhaps 300 feet.
Perfectly reasonable, then. We know Rain knows that there was a force of elves from the east. We watched them cross a bridge, Alcinorot included. And at the very least, that there were people in St. Cyr Manor, and that the surreptitious trying to approach around the building seems like a bad decision when they just went through an entire cave system and back around, so they will attempt to follow the river to the northern bridge.
You do so. We will revisit you when you arrive at the northern bridge.
Sounds good.
And we find... One moment. And we find Kaysen, No Way, Sporgle, and Ed in the town square of Evening Star.
I think having felt those mind tendrils seep in, Noe will turn to look at Erilyn and will say out loud, I would much rather prefer to have an actual conversation about the things that you are trying to pull from me. Should that be amenable, we can talk later tonight.
You hear his voice in your head. I know where to find you.
You're gonna have to say it out loud, Erlen.
Do you say that out loud?
She does.
Alcinerat looks at his son. Erlen opens his mouth and hesitates. I'll see you later tonight, Lady St. Cyr.
Very good, Lord Erlen. And she'll nod to him, and then with a much warmer, more genuine smile to his father before she turns and follows her little cohort off.
You hear Alcinerat say something that surprises you as you walk away. Turning to his son, he says, "What was that about?" As if Alcinerat does not know something about his son that maybe you do. You turn to walk away, is that correct?
Yes.
Jason's gonna reach behind Ed to high five Noe.
She does it on the down low.
Ed clears his throat. So what, you're my keeper now?
Yeah, we're going on an adventure. Aren't you glad you don't have to talk to Stinkbug anymore? Isn't it like, does he do that thing in your brain too? It's itchy, isn't it?
Why were you guys talking to that? He motions toward Shilda with his head. Why were you guys talking to him?
Do you know him?
Who?
I know what he looks like.
Alright, he made me an offer on the sun melons.
Did he? What is he?
Yes.
Is he gonna pick them?
He would like to control where they end up, is how he put it.
Why?
I'm not sure. What I am sure is that we will have a problem with Alice Osborne.
Maybe we should kill him.
We're not killing anybody else tonight. We're going on a nice walk to clear our heads and not kill more people.
Ed, what is her issue? Are you not paying her enough?
He's not. He's right there. He's by himself. Am I not paying her enough? What? This is... You're not her union steward, I know that much.
No, but I know that she is doing a number of things that would invite a great deal of ire from both the Flaming Fists, and she gestures to all of the elves that are now taking up space in their town.
Bad news for you about the fist. I think they're on their way out. The elves, maybe they will be too, once I get what I need out of Erlen.
Noted. Let's return to Alice Osborne.
Technically you're in charge, so... fine.
Are we that miserable of company? Never mind, don't answer that.
He sizes you up with a perfectly flat mouth.
She's poaching. She's selling illegal regents to other people. Does this surprise you?
Illegal reagents. Like what?
Like unicorn blood.
Who told you that?
Alleged unicorn blood.
Do you have it on you?
I do.
May I?
She, yeah, she pulls out the vial and
Ed Severino takes it and studies it for a moment. Why'd he give it to you? Hey, Goblin. You want to kill him, don't you? Look, he's right there. Think of what's in his cart. His cart's got 2 horses. 2 horses has to pull a lot of stuff, doesn't it? Look at him. Right there. That animated armor's not too smart. Once he goes down, it doesn't know what to do. That's all we have to do.
Sporgle crosses his arms. He says, oh, Sporgle, not make trouble.
Kaysen's going to look very proud of Sporgle in this moment.
Noah is surprised, but she nods approvingly.
See, even Sporgle thinks it's a good idea. Look, we've all had a long day. Has anyone eaten? I haven't eaten anything. Let's just... Can we get out of, like, this
No.
giant crowd of eyeballs? It's freaking me out.
Fair.
And we'll talk about it later, and she'll hold her hand out to take the vial back from Ed.
You do so. He reluctantly allows you to snatch it from his hand.
Now, I spoke to Lord Elsinra. She's talking as they're making their way to the tavern to follow up on Case's suggestion of food. He's saying that the appearance of the elves here, as armed as they were, was not meant to incite violence. Was that your understanding, Ed?
Ed takes a number of silent, exerted steps before he responds to you. If you don't want to incite violence, you don't send people with armor and swords out in front. Not inciting violence. What did they expect?
How many of ours were killed?
If I tell you, are you going to bear it as guilt? You will, won't you? Your father has the same problem.
I need to know if I'm going to ask for reparations.
2 guardsmen died on the southern bridge, defending the city that they loved. Our little town. Hell of a price. As you're walking northward, you see figures coming southward. One moment.
Is Ed staying in one place, or is his token just not moving?
I'm moving us to a different map.
Oh, gotcha. I was about to risk my life and, like, go grab his sleeve.
Forgive me, I'm just juggling maps. Everyone sans rain here with me on this map. As you banter with Ed, you see familiar figures on the road.
Oh, Hilda! She calls out, and then Again, she does not run, but she sort of starts hurrying towards her.
I'll drop forward. No way, no way. I will run up and hug. No way.
She kind of does like a oof of surprise, but she pats her friend on the back and draws back, still holding on to her shoulders. Your mother.
She's
where's
okay.
Ran?
I don't know where Ran is. No way, they blew up my house.
The elves?
I think the fist.
No, you're right.
No way, we have some stuff to talk about. And where's Ran? Have you seen Ran?
I thought he went after you. We haven't seen him the whole time in the house. I'm not even sure he came inside.
You haven't seen him at all. Has anybody seen him? Kason? Sporgle?
When I was coming up to the back of
What's he doing here?
the house,
I'll point at
I saw
sorry, go.
someone walking. It might have been him, but he didn't turn around.
Where was he headed?
We rescued him from the elves. But yeah, I saw Rand walking. It might have been Rand. I don't know. I saw someone with like shiny hair walking west from behind the manor. Was that where you last saw him?
Yeah.
He was walking west, like with purpose. And he didn't answer when I called out to him.
He should have been I should have seen him.
No, that's so odd. He should have directly come to you and your mother.
I just ran to my house.
He got to the house before you did, and then went somewhere else.
No. That's not.
He wouldn't. Oh, Rand wouldn't have gone after the fist, would he?
Did the elves say anything about him? I thought the elves might have captured him.
I don't think so.
No, Ed was the only one that they took, as far as I know. But I'm sure I can ask someone. She'll look up and down the road. Are there other elves posted here, sort of the way that they were posted up around the town central?
Not right here. This is sort of the residential, sort of slow side of Evening Star. So right now you feel a sense of solitude. You just watched Ed case his own house. He just checked the windows in his house there, and then he rejoined the group, suspiciously quiet perhaps. But you see no guards or anything like that. No representation of the Elven military here. It's very quiet out. You imagine that many Evening Starans are probably taking cover from everything that's happening.
I know
How much?
Oh, good. I was just gonna look at Ed and just say, I know we all sort of have our own little missions and quests that we need to do right now, but did you need to like grab anything out of our house before we go on whatever expedition we end up trying to accomplish?
Just looking for my kid.
Right?
Wait, where did he go after? Oh god, my head hurts. He was at the manor. Where did he go?
If I knew, do you think I'd be checking my house for him?
Oh, I'm sorry, my head hurts.
He'll be fine. He always is.
I'm going to look at No Way. I'm going to cast Comprehend Languages. Not fully understanding how the spell works, I will attempt to communicate something rudimentarily with No Way in Celestial.
Understood.
Amazing.
And I will say, we need to talk, but not in front of him. And I'll cock my head at Ed.
She smiles and nods.
And as Ed had mentioned that he didn't know where Rick was, in case it's just gonna pull out like his little book and just very obviously add him to his ever-growing tally of people to find. And he's not like walking off, but he's sort of just like peering over at the light down there with mild interest, but not really investigating.
I will
You
I will walk past Noe, make eye contact with Ed, and just walk right past him.
You do so.
Sporgle. Hi.
Sportle has like half of one of those summer sausages sticking out of his mouth, and he's just like chewing loudly.
Sporgle, do you mind if I take my book back? I have some things to write in it. I will give it back to you. We can trade it back and forth.
Sporgle will gladly return it from his bag.
I will say, oh, I'll rummage through my bag, trying to look for something to return to him. And I will say, sorry, here's the rest of the mead.
How much is left in it?
I would say it's about a quarter of the fifth.
He immediately, just all of it instantly, in one go.
You
Guess
do
it's
so.
been that kind of night.
Your head swims.
Sportle was feeling pretty good. Now he's feeling really good.
Ed tilts his head at you, Kason. Is this what passes for adventure for Lathandrites? We stand on a road and write things in our books?
I'll whip around and get in his face. Hey, what's your deal? What's your deal?
What's my deal?
Yeah, what's your deal? Didn't they just save you from the elves? What's your deal?
I didn't need saving.
Oh, come on. Nobody hears that stupid, not even you.
Speak for yourself. What do you want, Runt?
What do I want? I want you to tell us what the hell you're doing in this town. Everybody's life is at danger, and you have some secret scheme going on. I think it's about time you said something to us.
Okay, this might not be the most tactful approach, Tilda. We feel like we should have led up to that a little slower.
Led up to what?
Look,
Come on. We're in this town too. We care about this place too.
I don't have... Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
we've all had a great lack of catching up, and based on what I've gathered from everyone, and what I've witnessed, Noe was knocked unconscious and hunted down. Jason was shot in the head with a crossbow bolt at point blank, nearly killed. I was thrown into a ceiling, and now we have 3 missing people, and we're all caught up in this. As much as whatever's going on, if people tried to keep us out of it, if people try to keep everyone from Evening Star out of it, we're all wrapped up in it now. And if we are both raising swords and nearly being felled, we deserve to know at least something.
Roll persuasion, Kason of Lathander.
1 moment. 19 plus 1 for a 20.
With your dirty 20. You glower at Ed, begging for something.
Glowering.
You're not glowering?
No. Speaking earnestly.
Tilda is glowering. You, on the other hand, are speaking earnestly and attempting to appeal to his sense of decency, his heart. And Ed... I just need some, sorry. And Ed... There's no great scheme here. I'm putting the screws to that stinkbug one of yours, Erlen. I need something from him. I'm going to get it. They want something from us. Maybe they'll get it. That's about it. There's not as many pieces on the board as you might think. Erlen's got information for me. It doesn't concern you or harm you or have anything to do with you. The thing that they want from me, basically a map of the woods. Does any of this offend you?
Well, I hope that you're telling us what you know, because we've all come terribly close to dying, and if you are withholding things, then I hope those owlbear paws are good at digging graves, because that's who you'll be telling secrets to. So I hope if that is truly all you know, then let that be that. But while we're catching up, I've seen 2 psionics in town, and obviously a vampire that we now know of, and something going on under, felt like Mineral Springs. In addition to sunmelon farming, you guys wouldn't happen to be doing any mining, would you?
I think somewhere in the middle of Kaysen's speech, Noe, remembering something, claps her hands to her mouth and then runs over to Tilda and says, "We locked Rain in the basement."
What?
He's still in the manor.
What?
He went down with you, I think, when you were looking for my father, and he never came back up. We also need to go get him.
Surely the door's been pried open at this point.
Kaysen, you have that long list of missing persons?
Adding Rain to it. Get out his book again.
Rain, you shimmy down the river. And there's a couple names for this river, but for right now, I think it's the Starwater, isn't it? You realize that at that north bunker that you've seen before, there's 3 guards up there. Now, certainly they're not looking at the riverbed. You arrive here on the near side of the river. The current rushes past you. This is the fastest place that the Starwater cuts through town. That current would grab you and pull you away. There's a bit of imminent danger here. To your south, there are rugged cliffs. You could climb up them, but it's perhaps a 10-foot climb. Not being seen might require something. You could, in your estimation, potentially move on the river pylons to go north. You're not sure if that would help your situation, but it might assist you in repositioning. Any of these, the danger is intensified by the rushing current and the blackness surrounding you.
I think at this point, it's post midnight, I would assume, correct? Much time has passed, the day is long, there's been a lot of moving through the forests and moving
Yes.
through a cave and hurriedly running everywhere. I don't think
Yes.
Rain is in the position to climb a 10-foot cliff. They're probably ravished, they only ate in the morning. They're going to brave talking to these poor elves if need be. They're going to stand in the middle of the road, just walk, as if nothing were awry.
You hear a voice booming across the bridge. A single word. Isidwe. Halt in Elvish.
Greetings in Elvish.
You continue the conversation in Elvish. Your business being
Food,
You're-
preferably.
food.
I'm famished. It's a long road.
The road from where?
The north, across the bridge. Which canonically is what? Where would he have roughly what is the most close place to Evening Star to there? He would have had to walk past it anyway.
There is almost nothing north here. You gesture to the north. Let me roll something on my end. 1 second.
Sure.
For the record, we did not eat in the morning. slimes immediately.
You say you came from somewhere up north, and you, having some walking familiarity with this region, know that this is reliant on this elf captain not knowing the area. He's probably never been here before. You have. When you say you came from up north, knowing that there's really nothing up north, you see him consider it for a moment. He consults his history of the region internally. Very well. Food?
Yeah, so here they have phenomenal soup.
Hold a moment, brother.
All right.
One of the other guards comes over to the edge to peer down at you. It's a funny looking one.
Yes, I'm a little disheveled. It's quite a long road.
Something is tossed to you.
I think Rian would attempt to catch it, but lacking 2 eyes and good depth perception would fumble.
It lands unceremoniously at your feet. It's a ration. It's an elven military ration. It is a long cardboard tube sealed with wax.
Oh, gracious. May I, in turn? I do not carry foods or wares, but payment, surely. He'll jiggle the wine bottle that he got previously.
Go ahead. Toss it up.
I'm not the best toss. He'll unceremoniously try to toss that thing up there.
You do so. Your toss is imperfect. You underhand it. It goes end over end over end over end. 2 of the guards reach down for it, and 1 catches it by the neck of the bottle.
Rain will ceremoniously clap 3 times. Good catch.
You do so. Fairly well, brother.
Best of tidings. He'll give a somewhat ceremonious bow.
You do so.
Continue down the road. And exhale deeply.
Where is your eventual destination?
The inn, 100%.
One moment. You continue making your way toward the Lonesome Tankard. We find the rest of the party here on the road, freshly after interrogating Ed and perhaps remaining to do so, the actions with the party.
I figure I'm waiting for a reaction to the to what I just said.
What did you just say? Hit me again.
That was the owlbear paws, good for digging graves comment.
Ed doesn't necessarily give a direct reaction. He understands the gravity of this situation.
In seeing that didn't necessarily pry anything else out of him, he's going to look somewhat satisfied that that's what they're going to get for now. Can I... Wait, hold on, I'm sorry, let me look at my character sheet real quick. I'm still having to look at the
No problem, take your time.
screenshots because Roll20 is being odd.
No worries.
Can I get some insight on or roll a medicine check to just see sort of what state Ed is in after the day he's had, plus sort of a small, not even a rest, just a period, I guess, of not fighting and maiming people?
I think no check required. You spend a moment. Let's break this into 2 things. Insight. You try to break down Ed's composure and demeanor. In your estimation, with what he just told you, which is essentially that he is trying to get information from Erlen that's important to him personally, this fits. He gave you this with a straight face. His gaze was held to yours. Everything about his expression and his delivery suggests honesty and earnestness to you. When you tell him that the gravity of this situation is such that he will be digging graves with his paws if he's not forthcoming, everything about him suggests a lack of skepticism. It is certain to him, he has killed people today. He understands the gravity and the immense fatal danger that is afoot. You saying this doesn't cause him to budge. That's the result of your insight. Medicine. Sizing them up.
I was more looking towards. I know it was the same day or the previous night. Previous night there was multiple arrows lodged in him, but I know he's rested since then. But like, does it look like there's any just injuries going on? I know someone earlier made a medicine check, but was sort of too far away.
You assess Ed's injuries. You can see that his leather tunic is torn over his trapezius muscle, and this is likely where fresh wounds may have been at one point. His armor is ripped, but he seems to be in decent health from what you can tell. Anything further would likely require him to be a willing creature. At the moment, he's looking a bit unwilling from the way people have surrounded him. But you sense no imminent danger, certainly. And he's not bloodied. You can certainly discern that.
He's gonna, especially in the falling silence, just sort of look like he's like biting his own tongue and just say, I'm sorry, that was insensitive. I have even less of a filter when I haven't eaten or slept enough. Whatever mess is brewing, we're all in it now. So let's just do our best to all work together and try to fix this. And if it can't be fixed, then we'll all just ride it out together, won't we?
You had me at eat and sleep.
Well, we're not. I'm done being a warden for the day. I'm not good at it. You're not a prisoner, at least of me, but I can't say the same for these. I'm not eating or sleeping until I make an honest effort to find everyone. So that's my plan. Yes, you mentioned all of us standing in the road. He's just sort of gonna trail off. Like the thump on his head that he refused to heal himself is definitely affecting him as he's like looking now to Tilda of like, did I interrupt your interrogation? Like, did you have more?
I'm just watching you. You took over the interrogation, and Tilda thought you were doing a good job. But I will scoff and move on down the road. I will, through the bracelet that I was given last night, canonically, I will cast a light spell. I'll cast an askance at No Way at the same time.
She looks thoughtful. I think after a moment, she says, I can't imagine why he would run off and do this, but do you think perhaps your brother has holed up somewhere to be alone, maybe? I find myself thinking of when you and him disappeared for a little bit the other night.
You think he could be in the guard tower? Oh, that's so much better of a place than where I was going. Yeah. He could be in the guard tower.
Do we want to split up or go in one direction?
I think we can't split up anymore.
Yeah, I don't feel good about it either.
It's just a little ways past the end.
And as we're all sort of walking and talking, Kaysen is pretty much constantly scanning trees around them. He's looking for basically just any signs of anything, clothing stuck on shrubbery, little blood trails on the ground, footprints, anything.
I don't want to check the rubble.
With Sporgle sportling back there. What's he doing?
He's coming at his own pace. He's a
Sneaky.
bit more. He's a bit more weighed down than the rest of you right now.
As they're walking, just really quick, I think Noe will touch Tilda on the shoulder and cast the cantrip guidance.
I will risk a quick smile out of the corner of my mouth. A smirk. I think we're all just going to the tavern unless somebody else has something to say.
Yeah, I'm sort of just my map of places to check is basically all of Evening Star, so we're just one foot after the other. I'm sort of keeping to the back. I'm moving a little bit slower just because checking along the tree line and things, and sort of just watching behind us and to the sides.
Rain, you find yourself approaching the Lonesome Tankard, and you see familiar faces from the south appearing through the trees.
So hungry, though. Rain will wait somewhat impatiently at the window. I love you all dearly. New ground rule. Don't fucking lock me in a basement again.
Master Rain!
I'm so glad to see you all healthy, whole, and hale. I'm famished. Food on the table for everyone, yes? Okay.
I will say to Case and back down to 3.
This whole time, Case is just kind of like, especially now that that Rain has approached, he's sort of looking between the two most adultiest adults in the party, like he's just greatly anticipating a lecturing and or ass whooping, and he's just like he's really trying to just hang back now.
Rain looks painfully exhausted. They're caked in muds, and it looks like the pant legs have been sodden many times over to death. They're just trying to make their way inside. It feels like there normally would be an air of berating, but Rain is a little past that point.
Before he goes inside, he's gonna sort of just like look at the northwest corner, and it doesn't look like there's a light coming through, so he's gonna just sort of see what's going on with the patch job over here before he goes inside.
It looks freshly repaired. It looks like someone spent all day working on this.
I'm going to point at the guard tower
You
and
do
cast
so.
a message intending to hit Ran in the wine cellar. Whether he's there or not.
What's your message?
Ranny, it's Tilds. Say something if you can hear me. I get the message. Alright, I guess we're going in the tavern.
Rain is already making their way to the door.
Is anyone not? This is not the zone.
I'm like hesitating going in last, but I'm going.
Yes, I do not intend this to be a leading or coercive question. If you are set on staying outside, please don't take this as stage instructions. So if anyone's, I'm just figuring out whose tokens to move. So if you're staying outside, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm moving everybody.
I'm coming inside briefly.
Okay.
I will be
Julian.
heading inside as well. I'll be following in behind Noe and Tilda, but I will stop them both before they head inside, and I will quickly just hand them both each one of the new healing potions that I brewed. I just made these. Keep yourself safe.
She's not intending to come with us.
She will. She just wants to. She needs to speak with Ed for a moment.
She nods, and there's a moment where it looks as if Noah is going to say something to Julianne, but she sort of swallows it back and heads inside.
I'll take it without making eye contact.
Ed looks at you, Julianne, sensing that you have something brewing.
Look, I'm also hungry as everybody else. I can yell at you for hours. But how are your wounds? How's the shoulder?
He leans down, offering you his deltoid should you wish to perform a medicine check. Frankly, I'm fine. A little roughed up, but nothing I can't handle. I'm totally okay.
Yes, you say that, but just let me check real fast if you don't mind. Don't want there to be anything wrong. And if anything happens to you and word gets out that Julianne did the patch job and it was bad, well, that's not great.
Roll medicine at advantage.
$21.
With a 21, Laird is almost perfect health. He is missing a few hit points.
You mean Ed?
Yes, forgive me.
It's okay. How did you recover your injuries this fast? A wound that deep would take at least not overnight to heal like this.
He opens his mouth. And one moment while I roll something. Will you roll insight, please? And I'll tell you the DC. I'll tell you the DC in a second. DC 8.
It's okay. It's a crit, so 25.
A 20 on die. Ed says, Malar guides my healing hand. He's lying.
You and I both know very well that nothing guides your healing hand.
So what? Why do you need to know how I heal myself?
Quite frankly, if I'm running low on healing supplies, and I know you can heal faster than the others, maybe I won't prioritize you as much.
Fair enough. Julianne Willistride, I give you permission to deprioritize me. Your concern is appreciated.
You never make this easy, do you?
No, I don't.
We'll talk more later. I already deal with your bullshit enough.
I sense that we will. The northwest corner of the Lonesome Tankard seems to have been hastily reconstructed using immediately available materials. Long, flat river rocks, undoubtedly retrieved from the riverbank just to the north, have been arranged to create a flat altar. On the altar, burnt sticks have been elegantly arranged into arachnoid shapes. Kareen looks proud. Mikhail sees you and opens his arms. Where's my brother? Lainey looks at you, Tilda. No, where's your brother?
Well, the elves don't have him. And he's not in the guard tower.
So what? There's only 90,000 other places on Toril that he could be?
Yeah, what should I do? What should I conjure him? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. You're the great divinator.
And you're the last person who saw him. And what? You told him off? He disappears? And you're not willing to take any responsibility for that?
Fine. Going back out.
You go back out. The night air feels even cooler. Mikhail is still... Fine. What about my brother?
What about soup? How does that sound?
Mikhail, I'm sorry. I haven't been able to find anything. I'm so sorry. God, I can't even keep a simple fucking promise of trying to find someone.
I think you've done quite well in terms of keeping your promise of trying to find someone.
I know, but trying doesn't mean anything.
Look at it this way. You could promise to find you a needle in a haystack. I could dive right in until it bled me dry. However, the diving in is the important part. We've all made our efforts. It seems the occupation is going swimmingly. They're already in the guard towers.
He's going to walk up to Mikhail, with moist eyes, and he's literally going to drop down to one knee, beseeching forgiveness, and just say, we have, there's 3 people that I need to look for tonight, and I don't intend on sleeping or resting until I make progress. I hate to ask for your hospitality when I have nothing to show, but I don't plan to sit and eat and rest, but if I could ask for a small amount of rations just to keep me going, to keep looking, then he'll stand back up.
He allows you to embrace him. The weight of your words seems to weigh down heavily upon him. You may be the only chance he's got. Very well, take anything you want. The kitchen's over there. I certainly won't stop you. I can make you food, but please, anything you can do to find him. It's been over a day. If he's incapacitated out there, what if he was thrown from his horse? What if he just needs help? He could be perfectly fine, but with every passing minute...
I can guarantee you he's not on the Clearwater. At least not to the east.
Would his horse, if it was separated from him, would it stay with him, or would it go back to where it lives? Where would it go back to?
It would come back here. I hope.
Do you think... I
could have been
the horse would
ambushed.
know.
There's thousands of elven soldiers.
Can you show me to the stable area?
All right. Rain will uplift himself from the stool and make progress to the kitchen.
You do so. Kason, Mikhail leads you across the courtyard to, do you see where I just moved him? To, there is a stable network here on the other side of the courtyard. There are no less than 6 stables, and the closest one, Mikhail shows you, is for him and Andre. They have 1 horse that they share.
And empty, I'm assuming, by the map.
That's correct.
Well, I'm hoping if I'm able to find the horse, at least maybe it could lead me back to him. What does his horse look like, at least?
Oh, a sorrel horse with a homemade saddle that I gave him for his 30th birthday.
Thank you. I'll refill my water in my pack and then I'll keep looking.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. You may be the only hope that he has. I really appreciate this. I didn't mean to be short with you. Thank you. Please find him.
And he'll head back over here to where's there.
Before they return, Sportle jumps behind the bar and grabs a bottle of mead.
You do so, continuing to thieve. Tilda and Julianne, I feel like you've been building up for a conversation here. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you stop me as I race out the door?
For a brief moment. Tilda, let me help you find your brother. We can check the guardhouse to the north. Maybe he's there, maybe he's not. I don't know. But you also do need to eat. Because if you collapse on the road looking for your brother, then nobody's going to find him. But at the very least...
She's right. The last thing I did was tell him off. How am I supposed to live with that? I'm going to find him. That's how it's going to happen.
And I'll help you. I'll go with you. Don't go into the dark by yourself. Let's go check the guardhouse. We'll come back, get some food.
I need you to help me check the rubble. I can't do it myself.
I will do that. We may not be able to do much tonight, but I guarantee you, once the sun rises over the horizon, we will look as much as we can.
I'm going to activate my bracelet and pull out my booklight. Say, I have enough. I have to go do it. My father would have done it. I need to do it.
Yes, but please, think of yourself. Again, if you exert yourself and you collapse, then he's definitely gone.
I'll say nothing and continue.
You do so. Mikhail comes back into the bar, puts both hands on the bar top, and begins to cry. Kareen leans against her makeshift altar and extends both arms to the tavern. Would anyone like to pray with me?
Rainbow.
And we
Out of earshot.
cut the session right there. Sort of a weighty silence.
It's a couple threads processing.
Looking for a relevant GIF. Hold on.
Love this upside down bird.